It's amazing how people can change. I'm still in shock, I can't understand. I am so disappointed in man. Man make me cry, tears run from my eye. All I could ask was the reason why. Was man fighting power, he fighting greed. Oh, kid. Man making blunders for selfish need. Man gon' call you brother, but man so slack. Say man with a dagger, stabbing your back. I'm mesmerized, shock, still in dismay. Look how they treat me in the folk fair the other day. Chucky was thunder, Chucky was tough. Chucky was power, Chucky was rough. But politician respected this Calypsonian, who always seemed to look out for the poor man. But since Daphne Philip brainwashed the brother and make Chucky director of culture, since he got big position, he start moving strange. It's amazing how people could change. As they get in power, their plans rearrange. It's amazing how people could change. You have to agree, it's lies we're on in this whole country. Look how Chucky boil right down like Baji. Lies we're on in this whole country. Took time out and thought about man, unassuming hard to understand. One day man could peep up the ladder, next day man could be the prime minister. Man to the basic, callous and sly. Oh my, if God was on earth, man make God cry. When I hear we St. Peter did to Christ, man could appear good, but man not nice. A man who used to fight to get murderers free, today that same man preaching righteousness to we. Check most of the cases that Ramesh won. State witness boom boom, just on the case done. But Ramesh big like Tarzan now swinging on vine, telling you execution in record time. Baka say he promised him the deed for the land. Soon as Baka helped him win the election, but after election Ramesh start moving strange. It's amazing how people could change. As they get in power, their plans rearrange. It's amazing how people could change. You have to agree, it's lies we're on in this whole country. Baka come with the tape, Ramesh Ball, not me. Lies we're on in this whole country.
Get alive, get alive.
Listen, man does bother me, pal. Man is such a big, weak animal. The head of the animal kingdom. But man so deceitful and act so dumb. Man relishes incest and corruption. The thing of this woman fear most is man. When man hear black, drink rum, cuss, don't think. When man hear get white, say I don't drink. A man who used to have so much freedom to speak, now he can deliver demand a song so weak. Wade Mark was thunder, Wade Mark was tough, Wade Mark was power, Wade Mark was rough. But after election, Wade Mark just changed his style. Yeah, Wade Mark now he does sound like a child. And now since Bandeja, he on driver, he could introduce the breathalyzer. Since he got drunk in the backseat, he acting strange. It's amazing how people could change. As they get in power, their plans rearrange. It's amazing how people could change. You have to agree, it's lies we're on in this whole country. Look at them boys boil right down like Baji. Lies we're on in this whole country.
Get alive.
He jam every politician. Chucky in half killer Rick Williams. He advised Chambers that since he done see, Leram Kebalani run the country. Any Arkoda never survive. After Chucky sing howdy driver, he and drive. So now when he telling me I can sing, straight case of Satan, correct sin. The man make God and all get in a rage. That's why he falls teeth fall off last week on the stage. Long time when Chucky come out to sing, he like a dragon fire he's spitting. When he sing Three Blind Mice and how we Fred call, you couldn't get Chucky, he can't sing his song at all. Once the ministry say he can't sing the song, he tell the ministry, cut off the tongue. But since he under Daphne dress, tell he acting strange. It's amazing how people could change. Since Chucky get the whip, he plans to rearrange. It's amazing how people could change. You have to agree, in life we're running this whole country. Look how big Chucky gets shorter than me. Life we're running this whole country.
Yes, sounds of the man Croco, the legendary Croco out of Trinidad and Tobago. That one is called How People Can Change. I'm DJ Mauricio, and I'm coming to you live and direct from my bunker here in the Republic of St. Paul, St. Kitts. You heard it right. The DJ is still here in our beloved Federation, keeping the flames burning, holding those criminals' feet to the fire that we label as politicians, government. You know it is. For those of you who may be scrolling the web and bump into us and wondering what this podcast is all about, let's take a quick listen.
Wednesday evenings are heating up. Log on to DJ Mauricio's Facebook Live broadcast every Wednesday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. It's a frank and candid exploration into the social, cultural, political, and economic issues affecting our federation. And just in case you missed it, you can also catch the broadcast on his YouTube channel, DJ Mauricio. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube and smash that bell. You will be notified whenever he goes live. DJ Mauricio, every Wednesday evening, Facebook 6 to 8 p.m. or thereafter on his YouTube channel, DJ Mauricio. Log on.
Yes, my good people online, you heard it correct. The DJ Mauricio podcast is here each and every Wednesday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. However, just some issues with our Facebook Live app, we come a bit early for the folks who can be here early, and we go live publicly for 6 p.m. so that folks will not be disfranchised of hearing the podcast. So my good people, just before we get into the meat of the matter, we're going to drop a quick ad of our second CEC awareness match coming up this Friday, 31st October, kicking off there from the ferry terminal, downtown Bastille, St. Kitts at 3 p.m. We gathered there at 3, and we're going to be getting ready to move out at 4. From 4 to 6 is the match. So let's take a quick listen.
Let's unite. Citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis, it's your time! Boots on the streets are required! Let's save our country! Get your placards ready! Friday, 31st October, gathering at the West Bus Ferry Terminal on the Bay Road at 3:30. The march moves off at 4 p.m. until 6 p.m. For more information, call 660-0195. Email grantavenuedjm@gmail.com. Boots on the streets! Friday, 31st October, starting at the West Bus Ferry Terminal, 3:30, moving off at 4. Come in your numbers and be a part of the Citizens Empowerment Coalition Awareness March. Let's unite.
Yes, my good people, the struggle continues there as we bring our second awareness march to you, the good people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Downtown Bastille, St. Kitts. That's this coming Friday, 31st October, gathering at around 3 p.m. there at the Boston Ferry Terminal and starting our rumble through the streets of Bastille. Remember, my good people, as I said before, for those of you who might feel affected, you can be affected by joining the march on the street. We know the victimization continues with this corrupt administration. So at the end of the day, do not get yourself into any problem. You can stand on the side and look on. Remember, our numbers are online, not on the street. We come to bring awareness, and that we are doing and have been doing. I want to say good afternoon to one of our icons there, a gentleman by the name of Dr. Garfield Alexander. How are you doing, my brother? Let me drop a little prediction here by Brother Garfield.
DJ Marisha, I don't want you guys to take your eyes off him. Remember, he's been around for some time. Let's go back to COVID and lockdowns. The gentleman came in, was locked down in quarantine, and then realized the total hypocrisy, tyranny, and oppression of the then administration during our most horriblest time. Spoke out. Not only spoke out, became an activist. And then you know what he did? Organize and centralize. And he never stopped organizing and centralizing until Timothy was gone. I don't even want to talk about the involvement he had before and the Douglas administration and the Harris. We ain't gonna talk about that. I'm just talking that during COVID, that man, both on this front, locally, and in the US, waged war against tyranny and oppression. One simple man, a DJ as he calls himself. He never called himself an engineer or anything else, just a DJ, because he understands the power of voice, and not just voice, autonomous, independent, honest, transparent voice always wins in the end. So it could be persons with unlimited power and unlimited money. He somehow always becomes the David against the Goliaths. Be careful with him. Be kind to him. Watch him. Because trust me, he's going to triumph in the end. Again.
For sure, Brother Alexander, the struggle continues, and the work you have to put in to make sure that we are successful in everything that we do. We have a little issue here in our beloved Federation of St. Kitts Nevis, and my mission is always to educate the people that in anything you do in life, you cannot just start it and just expect to be successful. You got to put in the work. Once you put in the work, I can assure you that eventually you will be successful in whatever you set out to do. So my good people of St. Kitts and Nevis, as we sit here on a beautiful Wednesday afternoon in our beloved Federation, there's a lot to speak about the SSZs and the mind of the people of St. Kitts Nevis at home. For those of you in the diaspora who does not understand really what's taking place, I'm going to drop Dwyer's commentary in a bit. I'm going to drop a few clips because right now the people are caught with their pants down and basically trying to sweeten the pie, as they would say, to encourage people to get on board with this SSZ zone. Now, I think everybody know my view on this whole situation. What start wrong a morning can't come good evening. So basically, the misleading information, the lies and deceit that was perpetrated, in my view, by the Premier of Nevis and the Prime Minister of our beloved Federation, misleading the country and this proposed SSZ zone. And now the facts are coming out. They say the cover-up the saying is that the cover-up is worse than the crime. So my view is to repeal this law, go back to the drawing board, because the people are simply saying no. Before getting any deeper into the podcast, I want to take this time out and send my prayers and concern for the people of Jamaica, Cuba, and the surrounding area where Melissa seems to be taking a toll. I met a young lady from Tobago some years back by the name of Melissa. Very lovely young lady, very always smiling. Seems like she have a nice heart. But I never know that Melissa could be that rough. So I got to give my girl Melissa a call and ask her why she do this kind of damage to the people of Jamaica. I understand Melissa went on real bad in Jamaica. So my good people, I have a good amount of friends and associates from the DJ Mauritius Sports Club cricket and domino team that based in Jamaica that travel with us around the globe. I have not been able to speak to anyone direct on Jamaica, but I was able to speak to a few of our contacts in the New York area who assured me that they too are trying to reach out to those individuals, but so far no success. I stand ready in whatever capacity to assist the people of Jamaica, whether by raising whatever help on this end, St. Kitts, and whatever I can contribute. I remember during Hurricane Marilyn, back in the days, I actually had to head across to St. Thomas to assist in my capacity as an electrician to restore some power back there. And I remember those hoteliers there was very much appreciative of my talent and my service that I rendered to them. Just the same, if I am called upon to assist in Jamaica, I will consider going there and helping out the people, because in times like these, you need people who have the ability and the talent in these kind of fields to help out. I also came to St. Kitts some years ago while Brother Cedric Labard was in charge of works during a hurricane disaster here to assist in St. Kitts. So that is nothing new to the DJ. I just love to help where I can. It's a very good feeling when you can help people. And one other notice, my good people, before I get into the conversation this afternoon. For some months now, I realized that there has been some people, numbers coming to me asking for help with cash and that kind of stuff. And I never really take it on as much as this weekend. It really hit home as a gentleman number came in trying to contact me, and I calling him back and not getting him, only to find out that he reached back out to me and let me know that his phone number was hacked, and if anyone is sending me any messages, to ignore those messages from that phone number. And I go back to several other people that has reached out to me asking for financial help, and I had reached out to them and it was not them. I want to put the notice out there, very clear. Anyone receiving any message from any of my phone numbers, whether locally or in the US, asking for funds or help in any way, please ignore those messages. This DJ will not send a WhatsApp in any way, form, or fashion, or email asking for financial help from anyone. If I am in need of help, I will say it here in this podcast, I'll pick up the phone and call you. So any messages that you're receiving from the DJ asking for financial help or otherwise, please let me know so that I can do the necessary to resolve the matter. But I have spoken about this before, and I don't think our Prime Minister and the current government understand what I was saying. During my time living in North America, one of our biggest concerns was those hackers. And those hackers were identified to be based in Nigeria, basically. They had operations in Jamaica and throughout the globe. Hacking people email, hacking their social media pages, hacking their WhatsApps, hacking people's phone number, hacking into people's bank accounts. And I am very concerned that our Prime Minister is getting so close to these Nigerians. And of late, since this government got into power, not blaming the government for any particular reason, but I am saying, more so in the last 3 years, in St. Kitts, I have been experiencing these kind of hacking, these kind of bad activities, bad actors. So I'm going to say it again, Mr. Prime Minister. My message to you is be aware of these Nigerians that you're bringing into this country. Be aware of the people that you are dealing with, because it already start affecting our beloved Federation, citizens alike. This is not a one-off. Several individual phones, emails, social media pages have been hacked. So again, anyone receiving these messages from the DJ, please notify me and let me know. Up to last night, I've been getting some messages from Messenger, and this individual profile is a young man from Barbados. Well, when I say a young man, he's up there in age, he's over 70. And the time that I was receiving those messages, that would have been after 3, 4 o'clock in the morning in England. And I don't think my friend would be up messaging me on Messenger at them time of the morning. So I ignored those messages and I reached out to him earlier today to find out what he's trying to reach me via Messenger. And he said to me, no, he has not been trying to reach me. And currently he was in Barbados. He's not even in the UK at the time. He's in Barbados for a couple of days. So I told him, okay, well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to block you on my social media page. When you get back to the UK, try and resolve that matter and let me know whether or not I should open back communication with you. So my good people, this is a public notice. All of you folks with your social media pages that might be getting messages from various individuals requesting monies. Before you all go out there and spread your propaganda and say people asking you all for money and begging you all for money, please do your due diligence, check and make sure that these messages are coming from the right sources. Nevertheless, the march coming up on Friday, everything has a cost to it. So, as I said earlier, anyone who can have boots on the ground, come on out and join us for a walk around Bastille. And for those of you who is in a financial position who can contribute to offsetting some of these costs, there's a cost to everything. So feel free to reach out and make a contribution. Now let's take a quick listen to my boy G.A. Dwyer Astafan for today, Wednesday, 29th October, 2025.
Greetings. I'm happy that town hall meetings are being held on both islands to discuss the special sustainable zone issue. And I hope that every reasonable opportunity will be made available to the people of this country to engage in the discussion, and that no decision is taken until and unless that happens. With respect, this is far too important a matter to be left in the hands of the politicians. And if after being fully informed and consulted, the people of this country accept the Destiny Project, then fine. But if they do not, then in no circumstances must this project be allowed to proceed. We welcome investors, but the investment and development must be in the best interest of the people of this country. So we have to be discerning and we have to be careful. And we are our best watchdogs. Our politicians need to understand also that our votes and our voting power do not begin and end on election day. They need to understand that a town hall is not just a formality to say that the boxes are being checked and they can now proceed. No, that's not how it works. Premier Branty said in his town hall 2 nights ago that in his nearly 20 years as a parliamentarian, there was never a town hall meeting to discuss legislation. And he's correct. He even mentioned, for example, Christophe Harbour, no town hall. But it doesn't mean that because it wasn't done before, that it shouldn't start now. And this special sustainable zone thing is critically and consequentially important. And matters like this require town halls. Before you go to Parliament, it's a little late but not too late. And the people's power ensures that nothing is ever too late. Democracy is only democracy if it means government for the people, of the people and by the people. Not dictates coming down from on high, not condescending and patronizing and disrespectful politicians. And engaging the people in town halls is no favor being granted to us. by those who we elect to serve us. Rather, it is them facing their obligation to be transparent and accountable to us and to consult with us, government for, of, and by the people. And anytime a situation like the present one arises, and instead of the initiative coming from the politicians, it comes from us, then we must have cause to be concerned. If in a situation like this, let me repeat, the initiative comes not from the politicians to understand the relationship, their responsibility, the need for them to respect us, our intelligence, and our patrimony. If it has to come from us, then we have cause for concern. At the said town hall, Premier Brantley, echoed by Minister Evelyn, said that he and his team were not there to discuss the act, only the project. I found that disappointing. If the act is the framework for the project and for any other project which may come, how can the analysis and discussion of the matter be restricted only to the project and not to the framework? And on careful analysis, it will be seen that the framework as it is somewhat loose, maybe dangerously loose. I know we have a lot of experts on the Constitution and on the law nowadays. I prefer to get the opinions of lawyers. And I don't know of any King's Counsel who is totally satisfied with this piece of legislation. I've consulted a few of them. Meanwhile, we're hearing all kind of comments. One Kittitian lady told me that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, listen to this, we should express our gratitude to the developers of Destiny by kissing their feet. They don't have to invest in our country. We should kiss their feet to say thank you. Maybe she can do that. And a Division gentleman suggested to me that this whole approach for people calling for town halls and questioning and so forth look like yet another attempt by Kittitians to hold back Nevis progress. Clearly more discussion is required because these people obviously have a very twisted perception of this, and I'm sure others do, and more discussion is required, notwithstanding the fact that Mr. Brantley's question at the town hall as to whether the project should be allowed was met by a clear no from the attendees. More discussion. And there's another project which in my opinion requires public participation. And what is worse with regard to that other project is that it is underway. I'm talking about the Fort Thomas project, whatever it is, shrine, museum, neither of the above, both of the above. And the fact that we don't know specifically is cause for concern. Fort Thomas is not only a heritage site, but a major one. How on earth that an administration in clear mind and conscience can decide to do that project without consulting the museum people and the population generally? Whose heritage site is it? Any political party, any leader, any cabinet? You can't tamper with the people's patrimony like this. How could I even begin to offer those people a long-term lease? Worse so, with an option to buy and to change the landscape at the site. This is a vitally important heritage site. Do you think that you can go to India or England and do what these people are being allowed to do here? To say that this is beyond outrageous would be to understate the egregiousness and irresponsibility of this act, what is happening in Fort Thomas. And like the special zone matter, it could have serious political consequences. And if it does, it will be the fault of the politicians. But egregiousness and irresponsibility seem to be the hallmarks of governmental decisions and actions in our recent history. Over the decades, government has been transformed from service to the people to self-service, and we have become progressively more corrupt, and we have consistently made worse decisions. Let's go back to 1980, 1985. When the practice of renting private property for government office space started, and it got progressively worse over the years, to the point where today it is estimated that taxpayers' dollars, as much as $8 to $10 million a year of your money, is being taken to pay rent to private people to house government offices. Imagine how much the government could have done with all of those hundreds of millions of dollars that were ill spent over these years. Your money put in the hands of the landlords, robbing the poor to further enrich the rich. Ask yourself why this has been done. Why is it still being done? Hundreds of millions of dollars. That money could have been invested in building government facilities at the same Fort Thomas, creating construction and other jobs, stimulating the economy, and not just government facilities at Fort Thomas, all over the place, making things more convenient for the public to do business with government offices. Imagine all of the ministries at Fort Thomas. Some of that money could have been used to make sure that this nonsense of public toilets at Pelican Mall be consistently out of order. How much does it take for that to be done? These are for public convenience and the convenience of our visitors. We want our people and our visitors to have a positive experience. This money could have been used to make sure that workers at Warner Park are paid on time. Some of them are waiting for months for money. Ordinary lowly workers who have children to feed, bills to pay, and those who are denying them their money are getting their pay and putting food on their tables. This is unconscionable. This is just foolishness. And there are many other nuts and bolts, nitty-gritty things that would benefit and convenience the small man and woman in the country. That could have been done with those hundreds of millions of dollars and other money that is being wasted. Those potholes all around the island, the bumpy roundabouts and intersections because of bad workmanship by companies brought in by politicians. Money could be used to help our kidney patients who are struggling, our nurses, other health workers, our teachers, our schools, and so on. But it seems that decision makers over the decades have preferred and continue to prefer things the way they are. Once their rich friends and donors are well taken care of. Get the vote of the poor, but kiss the tails of the rich. On this point of government renting, as I said, I've suggested Fort Thomas for years. Prime Minister says he has another location. It seems that he's more attentive to the desires and plans of the Indian developers for whatever it is they're building at Fort Thomas than for government headquarters to be there. Another milestone on the journey of bad decisions over the years was the Christopher Harbour Agreement in 2007. That's an eternal scar on the flesh of this country. Terrible decision. Why? Intelligent people made it. I was in the cabinet. I made a noise. Nobody studied me. With the exception of Sam Condor, nobody studied me. Then the CBI, which was an idea with great potential for you, the people of this country. But for the most part, what it did was turn our country into a laughing stock for criminal investors and made a handful of our people and a significant amount of people overseas into instant millionaires. One of them, the beneficiary of a shameful sweetheart deal, put hundreds of millions of US dollars into a single small circle of hands. I know one local whose CBI service business was pulling in at one time $6 million US dollars a year. And the trend has continued, although the well has dried up substantially. The pattern continues. This is a colonial paradigm. This is for a few to get rich and for the rest to catch their tails, which is exactly what is happening. If you see some of the bank accounts overseas, I tell you, you would understand that you are being played and fooled over the years. And some of these nasty deals are still alive today. You heard the saying, power to the people, not to you. Then we went into an arrangement in 2012 or thereabouts with the IMF, which we didn't need to go into. Government gave haircuts to creditors. People lost a lot of money. And then this notorious land for debt deal. Crazy. Later on, in or about 2015 and thereafter, we continue to suffer from bad decisions. The BHS, what happened to that? And then we found out that $15 million in fees were paid in relation to that project, or let me say that non-project. For what? Where's that money? Don't forget the giveaway solar power deal with the Brooks Swiss company. I brought that to your attention. What happened to that? Don't forget the COVID lockdown cruelty, the disgraceful Galaxy prison deal. All of these bad decisions for you, made by intelligent people. Why? Why would intelligent people make such bad decisions? Is it that when you get into power, you get stupid? Or something else happens? Or you get smarter? The prison deal made money for a lot of people, but not for you. And if you go there now, you will believe that it is going to end up like all of those other Chinese projects. Nowhere. You might find 2 or 3 Chinese men over there sitting down under a tree smoking cigarettes. While people scamper off with hundreds of millions of US dollars, billions of our dollars. When is this going to stop? All of these projects, badly structured, badly negotiated, badly administered. And from 2022 to now, Christopher Harbour and Kitishan Hill, for example, have still not been straightened out. These are major gold mines, at least in potential for the country. One in one end of the island, the other in the other. BHS still can't start in earnest. Solar power, still not underway. We're still waiting for the JNF. They want to let Destiny in to take hold of 3 square miles of Nevis. and it looks like they would have proceeded had we not made some noise about it. They signed up to lease a special heritage site, Fort Thomas, to an Indian group for a shrine and gave the Indian group an option to purchase the site. What could be more crazy and disrespectful than that? Let me end by saying this. Mr. Prime Minister, Unexpected, the Calypsonian sang a song, a very popular song. Of course, please get the country on course. Government of the people, for the people, and by the people. This craziness needs to stop. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Astafan, for that delivery today. And I can say to you, I'm going to give you a passing grade on that commentary for today, Brother Dwyer. But I also would like you to remind the people that a majority of the things in your commentary today of the past is what we campaign on in 2022. And the leader of the Labour Party of the day, Dr. Joe, he promised us at the table that these matters will be addressed. He will put a stop to the bad prison project that he called it there in Estridge Estate, which is on steroids at the moment. The corruption continues. The Prime Minister himself spoke about bad actors when he got into Parliament. Who was those bad actors? He has now become one of those bad actors with what he's doing. So, Brother Dwyer, great commentary today. And I am happy that you remember to bring up that conversation where the Premier advertised this town hall meeting for the past couple of days. And the impression I got from the Premier is that they're going to address this act, this law that was dragged, basically, sneaked into the federal parliament about the SSC zone and people being outraged about this law. And when we think that they are having a town hall meeting to discuss repealing that law, the Premier is telling the people that his town hall is not about whether or not the law is there, but it's about whether or not they want the project by Roger Ver. So we're going to start off today our podcast in that area. So at the meeting, the Premier asked a question of the divisions at the town hall. Let me play the clip and let you, the online viewers, listen for yourself and hear what the people of Nevis told the Premier.
The project that is proposed is what we are talking about. Do we want this project that is proposed on the South Coast? That is what we are talking about, right? So that's where we are.
So my good people, again, for those of you who may be overseas and not here on the ground and don't understand, as some of you said last month, you don't understand the reason for an awareness march. The whole idea for the awareness march is to bring to the table many things that has been affecting us here locally, but the folks overseas are somewhat not in tune to what's taking place on the ground, don't care whether or not they come back and meet a piece of land called St. Kitts and Nevis. So, again, we're going to drop a few more clips. But I'm saying now that the Premier, what he should have done is gone to these town halls and asked the people of Nevis, after presenting to them his plans, what they think about it. He went ahead, sneak it into the federal parliament, pass it in quick time, while he had the opportunity at a town hall meeting on July 5th, when a young lady asked him about what she's hearing through the grapevine. He told her to go and read her Bible. But after the act was passed, just this past week, Monday, the 27th of October, 2025, he went into a town hall and telling the people there, he's not here to discuss the act, only the proposed project. Take a listen again.
The project that is proposed is what we are talking about. Do we want this project that is proposed on the South Coast? That is what we are talking about, right? So that's where we are.
So it is a clear no that the people of Nevis have told the Premier they have no interest in this project. And for those of you who might be listening to that AI video that was put out some Sundays ago and don't really understand what these people are about, let me drop two clips from these folks. There's one where the consultant was speaking to some proposed investors about this zone or this type of things that they was trying to get the buy-in on these people into. So let's play clip one.
Special economic zones, as defined by the United Nations, are geographically delimited areas within which governments facilitate industrial activity through fiscal and regulatory incentives and infrastructure support. If you look at this definition, there are three core elements. And if you only take one thing from this lecture, it's those three elements. It's a geographically delimited zone. You could speak of it as an island within the country. It has got its own set of rules and regulations. And why does it have that? To serve the purposes of a specific economic objectives. That's what we're talking about. A zone set up to achieve business objectives.
So you hear it from the horse's mouth. You don't have to hear what the DJ is saying. This is what the intention is on Nevis. It's not about the people. It's not about bringing no kind of prosperity to Nevis. It's about these libertarians trying to get away from whatever rules and regulation in other countries where they can come here. And as Dwyer said in his commentary, only a few will be benefiting. And the few, we know who they are because they are fighting very hard to get things done. I would say that in the past couple of weeks, the work and the effort that the Premier has put into getting this project approved by the people and going around the people to get a bill passed in Parliament, had he put 5% of this energy into getting that hospital wing over there, the Alexandria Hospital, completed since 2020, since 2017 it started with a completion date of 2019. It's now 2025 and we are nowhere in sight with that completion for that hospital wing. Had the Premier put 5% of this kind of effort into getting that wing done, it would have been completed by now. And when we move on to our Prime Minister, the Dr. Terence Joe, Minister of Health, he's the federal minister for everything. He's the Prime Minister in charge of the country, the Federation. And right on this podcast, I asked the Prime Minister a very simple question. If he was aware of the status of that hospital in Nevis and the issues over there, and people having to be brazing the narrows coming across to St. Kitts to get dialysis treatment, and when water is bad or there's no ferry service or whatever, people going to be left in bad situation. And the Prime Minister told me that is a local matter. He wasn't aware of anything over there where the hospital is concerned. A big hospital wing, a chunk of building, even almost, if it's not big, as bigger than the existing hospital. And the Prime Minister is telling me he won't aware what he speaks to the Premier all the time. To go a step further, the Prime Minister see it fit to get into a collaboration with the geothermal and Nevis. That was okay. The Prime Minister saw it fit to welcome this SSG bill into Parliament and present it himself on behalf of the people of Nevis. But the health care and the wealth of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis is not important enough. My good people, the struggle continues. I know for some of you who might be looking favors from the Prime Minister and the government, might see me as an enemy of the state, somewhat a bad citizen, but that is okay. Dwyer, Sam Kanda, Dr. Martin, Larry Vaughan, Douglas Watley, Ira McMahon, the big lies, Basically, all of them who sat at the table with me at several meetings with Dr. Joe know my position, and I have not changed. I have been consistent, and I will be consistent with my messaging. What we campaign against, we're not going to settle for it now because government change. The people, the country must be first priority, not your bank accounts, not your rich friends. The people, the country. Like I said to one politician, is God, country, people for me. Whether you all want to love me or hate me is fine, but I'm going to bring that message. I'm going to drop a second clip here where Roger Ver himself, back in 2017, while speaking to investors, potential investors that he wants to get involved in this zoning matter, he presented then a different conversation to what he's trying to present now to you, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. But none of them are pulling a wool over my eye. I said no to that zone, and I stand by that. Repeal the act.
It is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce to you a man who stands for what is right with the world, the opportunities that we have, both with technology, but grounded in the principles of liberty and freedom. Join me in giving a rousing welcome to Roger Ver.
Thank you so much, Terry. Hi, everyone. You thought you were going to hear about Bitcoin Cash. You're going to hear about something that's probably as exciting or maybe even more exciting than Bitcoin Cash at the moment, and wasn't possible before the invention of Bitcoin. So you're going to hear about freesociety.com, the next step after Bitcoin. So I think we're at the right conference to announce this sort of thing. Thank you. So to sum it up, we are purchasing sovereign land from a government to create the world's first libertarian country. So as I'm sure a lot of people in this room are aware that lots of people have made a lot of money thanks to cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. And a big giant chunk of those people are hardcore libertarian, voluntarists, free market advocates. So what's the next step? Here it is. All right, so who are we? Myself and my good buddy Olivier. We came together and we've been working on this for a while. Olivier was a very, very early Bitcoin adopter, even earlier than myself. He's been working on this sort of thing for the last 10 years. He's a lifelong libertarian. I'm Roger Ver. I'm the first investor in the entire Bitcoin ecosystem for Bitcoin startups and that sort of thing. I'm also a voluntarist. For people that don't know what a voluntarist is, it's basically somebody who thinks that all human interactions should be on a voluntary basis or not at all. And the difference between a voluntary interaction and a coerced interaction is the difference between working for a living or being a slave. It's the difference between making love or being raped. And so all throughout society and all your interactions with people in your day-to-day life, everybody deals with everybody on a voluntary basis, with a few exceptions: murderers, rapists, thieves, and governments. So if we all know that murderers, rapists, and thieves are bad people for dealing with each other on coercive, non-voluntary means, what does that make you think about governments? So anyhow, in history, there's been other people that have tried to do things. So there was the Republic of Minevera. I probably didn't pronounce that very well. But it was basically a sand atoll out in the middle of the Pacific. And a very, very wealthy group of people, I think it was in the late 70s, went out there and started dredging up more sand. And they tried to build their own island out in the middle of the Pacific. And they wanted to start their own, libertarian-ish, geographic piece of the world there. And what happened, as soon as they had spent a whole bunch of money dredging up this sand atoll and turning it into an island, the neighboring, local coercive, violent thugs showed up from the government of Tonga, I believe, and said, "Oh, thank you for dredging up this land for us. It's ours now." And they used a bunch of guns and kicked them out of there. Sealand is another very, very interesting story. It was a gun turret that was abandoned off the coast of the UK after World War II, and some people have set up a data center out there, and they kind of say that it's their own thing. Anyhow, seasteading is also very interesting. And Liberland is another project between Croatia and Serbia, where both countries claim this land doesn't belong to us. The reason they're claiming that land doesn't belong to either of those countries is because if they lay claim to that land, they lose claim to an even bigger piece of land that both countries want a lot more. But that's another fantastic project that I'm a big fan of and a supporter of as well. And you know, anything that's peaceful, that's my motto. Anybody should be allowed to do absolutely anything that's peaceful. So throughout the world, you know, if you can raise enough money, why not just ask? Hey, there's a lot of governments out there with a bunch of debt and poverty and natural disasters. Just ask them, hey, if we give you a whole giant pile of money, how about you give us some land? And that's exactly what we've done. And we've been really, really surprised by just how much reception there's been from these governments. So we can help them clear their national debt. We can help pretty much everybody that's at this conference realizes that the more economic freedom a place has, the more financial prosperity they have. If you look at that's right. So, if you look around the world, the places with the most economic freedom have the most material wealth. And I'm pretty sure that's going to happen in short order with our economic free zone. So, and of course, there's tremendous employment opportunities there because of this. And we already have more than $100 million of private capital committed to this. And that's just the start, right? To make it clear, the lawyers have told me very, very carefully that this is not an ICO. So we are not having an ICO. I just want to make that clear. But we're exploring very carefully what the appropriate ways to allow the general public to participate in this as well. So the $100 million is from people, hardcore libertarians that have made some money in the cryptocurrency space that want to see a free society within our lifetime. So we have a bit of selection criteria, right? We want to find a place that's close to existing economic powerhouses, needs to be accessible by water. We need it to be in a stable government conflict-free area. We don't want to build it where there's a war zone going on already. We need to have a big enough piece of land where we can really do this. And we need the existing country that we're going to buy land from has to have a constitution that allows for this sort of thing. So actually we called up some governments already. We've been talking to a number of governments already, and we were stunned by just how interested and enthusiastic they were. They're like, you're going to give us a bunch of money for land we're not particularly using already at the moment? So it was really, really a pleasant surprise just how interested they've been. And of course, small governments are easier to deal with than big giant governments, and we'll be naming some names in the future, but not quite yet today. And of course, the timing is right? People all across the world are realizing that government doesn't work. A big influencing book in my own life was Harry Brown's Why Government Doesn't Work, and I read that book and it started to open my eyes. I guess government doesn't work, and the whole world is becoming decentralized right before our eyes. I mean, we're all here at this conference, we know that, but the rest of the world is starting to realize that as well. And governments are, they're not only going in the opposite direction, they've been in the opposite direction since day one. They're a coercive institution that deal with other individuals by violence or threats of violence. And for any sane person, you should realize that dealing with other adults through violence or threats of violence, that's not the right way to live your life. So governments and all forms of violence, we're going to do away with those as much as we possibly can. So, and basically, we need to set the right example for the rest of the world, right? There's not going to be any government of any kind. All the basic rules will be agreed upon up front. So we're going to buy this land, and we're going to set the rules of the game plan there. And if anybody's read David Friedman's The Machinery of Freedom, there's a bunch of fantastic examples of how this could potentially work. But at the end of the day, the free market's going to be what figures it out. So the law and the Constitution are going to be part of the actual land deed for this. So think of it kind of like a private home ownership association. You lay out the ground rules from day one, and that's the playing rules. And it's going to be, again, based on the ideas of voluntarism and the non-aggression principle. Competing private protection agencies will deal with protection, right? Think about it. If a police car pulls up behind you while you're driving, do you feel more or less safe? If you're driving down the road and a private security guard that patrols the local shopping mall pulls up behind you, do you feel more or less safe? Probably about the same. But that should tell you which one of those agencies is doing a better job of making you feel safe and secure in your belongings. And we'll negotiate some additional protection from external threats from the country that sells us the land originally. The United Nations, I'm sure everybody here is probably not that big of a fan of the United Nations. We're not going to join. So of course, no plans to join, right? It would require a central authority. This land isn't going to have a central authority. We're all about decentralization. We're going to buy some land. There's not going to be a central authority. And not dealing with the UN avoids a lot of other issues. So I'm sure you're all wondering about passports. That would require a central authority. It would require UN membership, right? Just use your existing passport. Kids can automatically get the citizenship from their parents. The private market's going to come up with way better alternatives than passports, right? We can have ID systems in the blockchain. A lot of people probably don't realize it because everybody here was born after World War I. But before World War I, you didn't need a passport. You just showed up wherever the heck you wanted to go, and that was it. There was nobody there waiting at the border saying, "Your papers, please." And that's how it's going to be in our free society as well. So limitations, right? We need to minimize our attack surface. No nuclear weapons. Wikipedia has a great example of why nuclear weapons are a violation of the non-aggression principle, basically because they can't be used for any defensive purpose ever, and it's a threat to everybody around you. You can't export weapons and drugs, mainly because the other governments around you are going to be mad about that, and they probably won't sell us the land, so that'll be part of the land title. We'll have some sort of age of consent, and we won't be allowing people to secede. That'll be built into the original land title that they've agreed to when they purchased the land. So, what's next? We're exploring ways for the public and the interested parties to participate. Again, this is not an ICO. We welcome all libertarians, constitutional experts, free thinkers to join us, voluntarists, free market advocates. Anybody who wants to participate is welcome, so long as you are a fan of the non-aggression principle. So that's our big announcement. Sorry we didn't cover Bitcoin Cash, but before the invention of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, this sort of thing wouldn't have even been possible. So Bitcoin enabled this. This is the next step after Bitcoin. I think I have about 10 minutes left for questions. I imagine there's probably a few questions. Speak up, don't be shy, and visit freesociety.com for information. We have a white paper up there. Who has a question? I see lots of hands. Okay, so
my good people, in a nutshell, that is what is proposed on Nevis. And this conference was from 2017. The question for Premier Brantley is, when did he first got contact from these people? According to the Premier, is that he did not met these people on his own. His wife was the go-between that met these people, and then he got involved. A lot of missing parts are there. But as I've said, my good people, just from those two clips that I just played, have convinced me more and more that this is not something that we need in our beloved Federation of St. Kitts Nevis. And I'm calling on Prime Minister Joe, his team, to go back into Parliament and correct the mistake, the aggression that they have taken out against the good people of St. Kitts and Nevis. We're going to march until we see the change. We're going to march until such time as we see better for our people. The campaign of 2022 was about country and the people. It wasn't about continuing where they picked up. And I'm going to drop a clip right now. Some of you might be tired hearing this clip, but I'm not going to get tired of playing this clip, because I remember in 2022 during the campaign, how the then Dr. Joe drove down on the former Prime Minister, Timothy Harris, about that prison project over there in Estridge, that it was corrupt, it was illegal, it was all kind of thing. And if he were to be elected, that prison project would be stopped. And for a while there, he had me convinced that that prison project was not ongoing until I went and see it for myself. And to make matters even more, this is the same project that brought disagreement between myself and the Prime Minister. Because one evening last year, while playing this clip, I received a message from a gentleman by the name of Philip Martinez of MSR Media. And he informed me that he's been listening to my podcast and he realized that I love my country, I love my Prime Minister, he's my friend and whatever else he put in there. But suppose he tell me that my Prime Minister is misleading me, he's lying to me, because while he's drilling down on the former Prime Minister, he himself, Prime Minister Joe, was the one that signed off on those majority of CORs for that prison project. And it is not right for him to be misleading the country. And when I challenged the Prime Minister on this topic, he denied it. But so far, there has been several developments that will tell us that he is guilty of the crime. He also said that passport was being undersold. Premier Bantley spoke about passport being undersold. Dwyer Astafan advised about passport being undersold. That is during the campaign. But once the Labour administration got into office, all of a sudden, they tried to mislead the public while the crimes that they alluded to continues. So let's take a quick listen to Dr. Joe in his Parliament presentation.
Further, on August 18, 2023, St. Kitts and Nevis CBI officials, led by Attorney General, met with UK Home Office about our new CBI regulations and practices. On October 26, 2023, our same team of officials met with the US Treasury Department in Florida, along with officials from Caribbean CBI states, to discuss progress on US Caribbean Roundtable 6 agreed principles, Madam Speaker. On January 25, 2024, the team met with EU visa officials in Dominica to update them on new regulations and current practices. Madam Speaker, we have maintained constant dialogue and engagement with our international partners. However, we knew that the prison project had contributed to over 20,000 new citizenships being granted in a short period of time, Madam Speaker. This is the travesty. The travesty in all of this, Madam Speaker. 20,000, Madam Speaker, citizenships, over 20,000 to 25,000 new citizenships being granted in a short period of time. Madam Speaker, let's pause for a moment on that. How can anyone grant 25,000 citizenships for a prison? 25,000 based on the new census, and the Minister of Sustainability is here, Senator Honorable Dr. Joya Clark, that we are about 53,000 residents here in St. Kitts and Nevis, both citizens and residents. 53,000, Madam Speaker. And for a prison, you give up to 25,000 new citizenships. Madam Speaker, this is a travesty. It is borderline treason. On a prison project, you have granted citizenships to up to 25,000 citizens, half of your population. Madam Speaker, if any percentage of those persons were to come here, what will happen to St. Kitts and Nevis? But nobody was thinking about St. Kitts and Nevis. People were thinking about themselves, Madam Speaker. Putting self above nation. This is a travesty. And I want history to record that I informed the people of this. Our children must know this. Our grandchildren must also know this. This cannot be hidden from the people. This is a travesty, Madam Speaker. Any leader who grants 25, 50% of your population in citizenship by investment over prison, any leader who does that, Madam Speaker, should never be able to face the people again. Madam Speaker, this hurts badly, you know. Each time I watch the number, I call the AG. AG, is this real? Is this number real? 25,000? Over prison project? In such a short period of time, committing the country to this? Committing the government to this? Madam Speaker, every citizen should be outraged by this. This was totally unnecessary. Our country should not have been subjected to this risk, Madam Speaker, with this high number of citizenships over prison.
My good people, every time I hear that clip, I say to myself, if it was not so serious, it would be laughable. Because this is what the Prime Minister campaigned against back in 2022. We are always in favor of shutting down that prison project. Whether or not it was possible, I cannot say. But what I will say is this. Whatever, I have said it to Dr. Joe. The night before his inauguration, I said to him, when you get in there, whatever investigation is done, once you find out whatever you find out, come back to the people. If you don't do that, 3 months down the road, we're going to hold you responsible for everything else. But when the lies continues to manifest for whatever reason, I mean, you got to look beyond the stars, beneath the surface, as they would say. Because if Prime Minister Joe is trying to tell the people of St. Kitts and Nevis that this project was so bad that the former Prime Minister should not show his face again to the people for re-election, well, you, the person that signed off on those documents and those CORs and have this prison project continued, what about you? I agree with everything that you say in that comment, you know, Brother Joe. I agree with everything that you said there. However, it must include you. And while you're going to speak about a 53,000 population, I think you're speaking about a 53,000 population, including St. Kitts and Nevis. So when you do your division and say half of your population, now I'm trying to compare the prison project to the SSZ, because currently, according to Premier Brantley, the 7,000 or 10,000 people that is supposedly should be coming onto Nevis for that SSZ zone. Nevis population is some 17,000. So you two are doing the same in Nevis as you're accusing Timothy of and St. Kitts, even though you're the one that's responsible for it. Because 7,000 or 10,000 CBI applicants, residents, compared to the 13,000 people live in Nevis is a big difference. The people of Nevis cannot handle it. The Nevis cannot handle it. And I really would like to know, what is the driving force behind you guys pushing this issue? But it doesn't change the fact that I am saying that act must be repealed. And the second part of this prison project conversation, you know, that I guess there's a saying that when people lie to you and you find out the truth, they're upset with you. And basically that is where it's at with the Prime Minister and I, because the Prime Minister continues to lie to me. Because when Martinez spoke about purchasing the OTI and receiving ex-CBI shares to be sold to offset the costs of purchasing the OTI. And his shares, I think, was 250,000 per share, while the prison project minimum sale should have been 175,000 US per share. But the Galaxy team and whoever was involved was actually selling for less than that. And Martinez brought it to the attention of the Attorney General and the Prime Minister about the underselling, which is illegal. And what the Prime Minister and the AG response was to this? There is no underselling. That is what their response was. And they hurriedly went into Parliament and create some bill and pass some law that underselling is illegal and people should be held accountable and whatever. The usual charade. And Martin is knowing what he knew, did not settle for that because he realized that he was lied to. And he took the Prime Minister to court and the country, I would say. And basically, it came to a head where the current PS, after receiving the files, I think it was 185 files from the case that Mr. Martinez filed. Remember, it's 5,500 files that was given for that prison project. But Mr. Martinez was able, as MSR Media was able to get their hands on 185 files, which is what they presented with their case against the government. Now, the government had no choice but to acknowledge that Mr. Martinez presented facts and they had to do right by the case. So the current PS, I understand, signed an affidavit acknowledging that of the 185 cases that that Mr. Martinez and MSR provided, they acknowledged some time ago, and there was a press release from the government and from the SKNIS stating that X amount of cases was reviewed, X amount of cases was certified to be underselling, and X amount of people who did not comply, their citizenship was revoked, and there was one or some other to come in for in-person hearing and whatever. They're the one that released the information. It's out there, it's public. So the lies that been told by the AG and the Prime Minister over the last 3 years, going on 4 years now, about this underselling, it's really amazing. Nevertheless, even while the Prime Minister was saying that there was no underselling and this is not true, I got to thank my good friend, Brother Glenn Batt, who was able to ask a question at a round table, press conference, whatever, recently. And he got a soundbite from the Prime Minister acknowledging that, yes, there was underselling and yes, people are given the opportunity to bring their payment up to speed. But that too, I think, going to create some legal challenges for the government going forward. Because according to conversations that I heard previously, is that the government is not in the business of selling passport or selling citizenship. There are agents that get these CBI files. They are the one that sells them to whoever candidates, and the government get 30 or 50,000 for each file. And the other monies are for the agents and whoever developers. But the government are currently collecting funds that should be due to these developers or agents. So pretty soon we're going to have another case on this matter. But let's take a quick listen.
Individuals and families who access St. Kitts and Nevis citizenship under the controversial Galaxy-promoted prison project started under a previous government administration are still being allowed to bring their citizenship to legal status by paying the required amounts under the current government led by Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew. Questioned on the matter during his most recent roundtable with the news media, Prime Minister Drew said he didn't have the statistical information, but the process was still continuing, inclusive of due diligence procedures.
On the Galaxy, I don't have the numbers with me, but people continue to pay because if your due diligence is clean, and we backcheck a lot of the due diligence, our next thing is to make sure that you pay the amount. You haven't paid the amount to maintain your citizenship. You have to make sure you are given the opportunity to correct that wrong as an individual, as a family. If you don't correct it, then you lose it. Simple as that. And to say to those who are now coming, please follow the law. That is all we're saying, unless you were advised otherwise. But the advice will always be to follow the law. So that is where we are with the Galaxy matter, and we continue to. And anybody who has any evidence that anybody would have violated our CBI laws, as in any other law in St. Kitts and Nevis, that we would take the necessary actions to be taken.
The prison project was being developed under the public good option of the Citizenship by Investment program.
So, apparently, this prime minister is something else. And every time this man open his mouth, his lies just get caught up with him over and over again. Now, the public good option was first given to MSR Media by the Philip Martinez, I think he's in November of 2023. And he was supposed to be doing some good work there at the MSR Hotel, formerly the OTI and whatever. But after he found out about this Galaxy scheme with the underselling and everything that was going on, and he brought it to the attention of the AG and Prime Minister, and they choose to turn a blind eye, he took it to the next level. So as a result, the vindictive behavior of the AG and the Prime Minister, they decide that since Mr. Martinez bloody whistle on them and embarrass them, they will take away his rights to operate on St. Kitts and to function under the Public Benefit Act adoption for the CBI thing. Now, could you imagine that you trying to do the right thing, you have been penalized, while the bad actors have a free rein to continue doing their act, their bad act, because that's really what's taking place. You know, I spoke to several people who been involved in the CBI business for some years, and they said to me, Mr. Marisha, the underselling of the CBI is nothing new. Every one of those CBI projects has been undersold, every last one of them. And they gave me the practice of how things have been done. And they also show me where, even though there was a law passed recently by this Juled Labor Administration, the underselling continues. Nothing have changed in terms to improve that. But if you were to ask a question, it's a crime in St. Kitts Nevis to ask a question. However, when you hear them speaking on their pulpit, they speak about democracy. Democracy to these people is criminality. They're all practicing criminality. They don't want to do things correct. It's too easy for them. They want to do things the hard way. So the time that they spend now trying to reverse the things that they put in place, they didn't have to work this hard. Look at this SSD matter. They didn't have to work this hard. I received a message some time ago from an individual that the former Prime Minister, Timothy Harris, has been trying to schedule some time to join me on my podcast to have a conversation, but I am not one of those naive individuals. I don't think Timothy Harris is ready to sit here and this podcast with me to have a one-on-one, just like none of the other ministers of government is ready to sit here on this podcast to have a one-on-one with me. But in absence of that conversation, he sent a message that I was invited to a press conference he had recently. And I took up his challenge and went to that press conference. One, I had just been approved to be a journalist, a part of the Media Association of St. Kitts and Nevis. And it was good to take the opportunity and go there as a journalist and not just as a media person, social media who create content. So I went there in my capacity as a journalist, and I went there with about 6 questions, hoping to get some good information for you individuals online, my good people. Questions that been asked over the past 3+ years. But the press conference, I think, was very good. I call it good because what I heard from the chairperson of that conference, her presentation and opening remarks was very receptive. I appreciate her opening remarks. Even the former Prime Minister, Timothy Harris, he presented a good argument, and his deputy, Mr. Damian Lawrence, presented a good argument. And then there's a gentleman, Mr. Pemberton, I think he's the chairman of the number 1 constituency, also presented a good conversation. I think Mr. Pemberton basically spoke about welcoming protests and that kind of stuff. And I laughed to myself because I said, I wonder if Dr. Harris realized that all of these things that he's presenting now, these are some of the things where him and I butt head on while he was Prime Minister. Had he just taken a conversation with me when I requested to speak with him, we wouldn't be where we are today. Because everything that I was demanding then is what he's presenting now. But like I say, too late shall be a cry, because he's no longer Prime Minister. Now he's trying to get back there. And I must say that if this is the new version of Dr. Harris, I mean, I can work with him, but it's up to you, the people. You know, it's up to you, the people. But that press conference, the opening was good. So I took the opportunity when the time was right, but only to be told that after a 4:30 press conference that went on till sometime after 7, after all of the presenters presented, it was only 15 minutes left for question and answers. And with the amount of journalists there to ask questions, I didn't really want to take up any time. The first journalist went and asked these 2 questions was Mr. Andrew Huey, followed by myself. And I tried to level the playing field by giving a little explanation before I asked my questions. And I asked a few questions. And my good people, you guys know my style. I'm going to play the clip because I want folks to hear the interaction between myself and Dr. Harris for yourself. And you make your decision on the responses that came from Dr. Harris.
I now recognize the other media house or independent media source.
Good evening, everyone. Dr. Harris, Madam Chair, folks online viewing us, and the folks present. I'm Jeffroy Mauricio, DJ Mauricio Media, a member of the Media Association of St. Kitts Nevis. I think one of their newest members. Dr. Harris, is unfortunate that we don't have enough time for the amount of question I had, but I'll just kick in one for you. But this one, I'm going to try to make it quick, and I hope that you can get straight to the point, because this question I want to ask you about is that prison in Estridge. That prison project in Estridge Estate. I am one of the lucky people who basically came at the Team Unity administration back during the 2022 campaign. And I think I brought everything during that campaign, along with the support of the then Dr. Joe, newly elected leader of the Labour Party. And what we campaigned on about that project, what we said about that project, today I am somewhat at a loss, distraught that the Team Unity administration, there are 3 representatives in Parliament, and I call it Parliament because there's the amount of lie I'm hearing in there. Right? Honestly, it's not I cannot pronounce it, it's the lies I hear. I am kind of confused and distraught to the fact that that prison project, I understand, came into being under a Team Unity administration. After you fired 6, in 2022. I can recall Sean Richards, the then leader of the People's Action Movement, PAM, did a broadcast from that project and called it out to be something that was negative to the country. I also heard Premier Brantley, then and most recently at this press conference, say he was out in the yard. So he really had no input in that prison project. Dr. Harris, I've been getting some blows because I understand I'm now a member of the PLP. I didn't even know you accepted me as a member of PLP. But I just want some clarity for the people. This clarity is not for the DJ. The DJ really knows the facts. But I want some clarity for the people and for the country. Because what we campaign against and what we put in place is definitely, I can say openly, is worse than what was there. Okay? In a question about it. You and I know what I campaign against, I will not accept again. However, I have heard you acknowledge that as individuals we make mistakes and you're willing to make the adjustment. So that is up to the people. That is not up to the DJ. But what I campaign against, I will not accept again, and even worse, not worse than what we had. The question I have for you, Dr. Harris, I have asked Sean Richards this question on the phone. I have not been able to speak to Mark Brantley. When elected members go into Parliament and lie to the people, is there any laws or anything can be done to those elected members for lying to the country? That's one question. And why is it you guys, when I say guys, I no disrespect, I'm speaking about Mark Brantley, who is representative of CCM, Sean Richards, representative for the PAM, and yourself, former Prime Minister and leader of the PLP. Why you guys sit in Parliament, listen to Dr. Joe presenting his case about that prison project, giving his narrative about the amount of passport. I think he said some 22 to 25,000 passport. As a result of that prison project, some 5,500 files I was given. I need some clarity from you, Dr. Harris, so that when I sit around my keyboard and I'm presenting on a Wednesday evening, I am presenting the facts to the people. I am not here to support no negativeness from anyone. I think I already went after you during the campaign of 22. We saw the result. I would like to fix that. So, what I need is some clarity and some facts. One, what was the real cost or the projected cost to build that prison? Two, I have done my investigation and found out that the architect that you said designed that prison said he never applied for any construction permits. So if this is a fact, did that project ever get approval from our building board for building? Three, I understand under your administration there was a project manager that represents the country and the citizen. If that is so, that is good. I don't know if there's one today. But when Dr. Joe is going to stand up in Parliament and go after you as the person that should never show their face again and ask for support or to be re-elected because you gave away some 22,000 to 25,000 passport, almost whatever of the population, and you guys are not responding. Is there a reason for that? Is there a reason why you guys are sitting in Parliament and allowing this Prime Minister to continue lying to the country? Why am I asking you these things, Dr. Harris? It's because Dr. Joe and I were like this, going after you. Mr. Martinez of MSR Media sent me some information that while I was supporting Dr. Joe and going after you on my podcast, Dr. Joe actually signed off on most of those CORs for the prison project. So Dr. Harris, like I said, we don't have time for the questions I have for you, but I'm pretty sure at some point in time, I will get the opportunity again. But just for clarity, I want to know when I go on my podcast tomorrow and sit down and speak, I can say to the people, I attended my first press conference as a media person, officially, and I asked the question, and this was the response.
Thank you. Very quickly, and the question you asked about why you said nothing in Parliament is linked to the question we were just in before, the biased nature of the speaker. Dr. Joe made those statements under what is considered ministerial statement. Ministerial statement. But those statements are not to having negative. It must not impute negative on any member of Parliament. I remember getting up at least once to object, and the speaker basically says, sit down. She does not allow me a fair chance. Even one occasion I remember said, I will make a personal explanation. And Conway get up, and he said, no. The personal thing, this is controversial. But every statement they made as ministerial statement were controversial. That's not how the rules allow it. But when you have a biased speaker, a political hack, like Curtis, Martin, and the one we now have, this is what happened. They are agents of the party. They operate that way in the eyes of the public. So we are not allowed a fair chance. It is a biased, dysfunctional parliament. That's one. So that's why you can't get to say, because generally, ministerial statements are to be non-controversial, so you don't have the back and forth. If it was in the bill, in the debate, then you could respond. Things said on the ministerial statement cannot have a rebuttal.
Thanks for the education, so Dr. Harris.
That is on that.
Thanks for the education, but I will say to you now, I am the speaker in my house.
Yes.
You are invited to join me on my podcast to vent the situation.
Thank you. Thank you. I shall come at an appropriate time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But I want to make a few other quick points in relation to that. It is the lie and the hypocrisy that have become characteristic of Dr. Joe's term as the Prime Minister in the country. He lies, and lies sometimes unnecessarily. That is why he scarcely would watch you in your face, head down, reading his notes. And part of the lie you exposed because he had fooled Martinez, or Martinez had fooled him. And in the end, Martinez come back to say, but these things were signed by Dr. Joe, not Timothy Harris. Those processes from the time that was launched close to 2021 would have taken over 6 to 9 months to go through all the channels to be completed. 9 months after I was in the office of the Prime Minister. So I know Martinez was right when he said, it's Dr. Joe who signed them. And what do you say of a man who says this thing is bad, this thing is corrupt, and yet he hold on to the corrupt proceeds? Up to today, the prison is still going under his watch. He is the minister responsible for it. And he says this was so bad and wrong, and yet he continues. You can't hold the two. If it is bad, stop it. Just how you stop the pop, stop it. So you picking and choose what you're going to stop. Just as you say you abandon the solar project, stop it. So you can't say it's so bad and yet you go with the thing that is so bad. It doesn't make sense. But more than that, the project and those who were involved with it was so bad, yet he took the principal responsible for the project to the UN. You understand that? He won in September. He took her as part of his delegation. He won in August, took her in September to the UN General Assembly. How this could happen? Two of them, two ambassadors, yes, Devbat and the lady. So you could see something not adding up. But he asked her to do the housing program. He told her he wants his own project. Nothing is wrong with the prison project, but just use the money to build the houses. And she was advised that she couldn't use money intended for the prison to do any housing program. That is how you end up now, Ghana, Trinidad. She refused that. She said that will have to be a separate project with the government. But he was too ashamed, having told so many lies. As to the responsive of those who had left the government, well, some of them confessed they were not even coming to cabinet. And some of them said they were in the yard, but yet they still know what happened in the cabinet. So again, you could pick the sense of nonsense. It was really just politics they were playing because they supported the project. They supported it. The minutes, at least we have minutes, would show that they were present and they supported the prison project because everyone knows a modern prison is needed. 1840 does not meet the requirements for the human rights. And I challenge any of them to go to the U.S. Human Rights Report going as far back. And every year they flag our prison as being inadequate and abuse of human rights. They, in the PAM manifesto, they had promised to build one. Yes. In Labour's manifesto, they promised to build one. In the budget address, Douglas indicated that he wanted to get the resources to build the prison. He went to the European Union. They did not offer him enough money. What they were prepared to do was to support training and those kind of things. And we say we couldn't have this black on the country's name in terms of human rights by having a prison which was expected in 1840 to accommodate about 66 prisoners and had reached the height of over 300 prisoners. Our people, our citizens, our residents deserve better. And my government was prepared to do that for the people. Because those who are in prison are our family members, are our sons and daughters, our neighbors, and they deserve a second chance. They deserve a second chance. And that is why we determined that the time had come. Go back in several budget addresses before me. Every year they had it. The problem was how. And we said, listen, a project like that, we perhaps can get the CBI program running, used and made available to support this project. Because at the time, we had the Barnstable High School, which was being funded from other revenues. So it wasn't competing with any project. We had money set aside for Barnstable High School in the budget. And in fact, it started. That's why we were able to clear lands. That's why we were able to get designs done. All those things you have to pay for. We had to do EIA, environmental impact assessment. You had to pay from a budget. Those were covered. So it wasn't competing, and we found an alternative source in relation to the prison. What is the cost now and the cost then? I would have to check my memory. What I would say to you, that Stacey Hobson was the architect for this project. Stacey Hobson was paid close to $3 million to do the designs. Was paid that. And he came with several designs. I sat with him in the cabinet chamber. And I said, Stacey, help me understand why a prison would cost this kind of money. I am troubled by it. I don't remember if Calvin was there in that meeting. The National Security Advisor was there. These were not secret meetings I kept because I had no other interest but the national interest. When I came in, Dr. Douglas, I identified the site in Mansion. Again, it's in his budget. Everything was done except the money and getting the appropriate person to do that. When I queried Stacey Bill, I was told it's not as easy as you think, you know. Building a security prison, it's not like building a house or school. The kind of details, the kind of controls you have to build in, security infrastructure, that was not easily available. And in fact, I was advised that the bulk of it will have to come from overseas. We had a number of technicians, maybe at the time, well, Calvin perhaps was at the building board. The people went to a number of countries. Barbados was one of them. Is it so, Calvin? Yes, he remembered a little of it. And they traveled around to see what was the model of a modern prison. Because you can't go back to build an 1840 type prison with 300 plus persons were there. Annette Franks was working for a short time with the Ministry of National Security. Part of her job was to assist us with programs of rehabilitation of prison inmates so that when they come out better to serve our country, having paid their dues, not continue to be victimized. And Annette perhaps was way ahead of her time because some of the recommendations she made, some people said they were too American. What should you do with that? Because they grew up in a system which says, punish them. But a country with limited manpower, with all these familial interrelationships, can't go on an agenda of suffering people because they have done a crime. So we were about a progressive way forward. None could deny it. The Americans required it. And we was the only government able to put something in place to give us what we need. And I want to just draw this last point. The urgency of it became known to us when we had COVID. What happened in COVID? The early breakout was in the prison. And people begin to ask, how COVID get in the prison? If the prison locked down, forgetting prison workers were going in and out. And when we did the investigation, we had about maybe two, the biggest spike, 65 and some other crazy figure. And we said, this is getting bad for worse. I called the Commissioner of Prisons to the cabinet. We need an explanation. He said, Prime Minister, I have to be frank with you. We just ain't have no space. You have some cells up there, 10 men in them. So when, Annette, you remember better than mine. 15. So when he sneezes, you will catch the COVID from him. And those were the situations we had to prepare for. A way forward for our prison system that satisfy the dignity of every individual and did rehabilitation, and that's why we went there. Going back to Stacey, he gave me an interesting story, and I hope I am recollecting it well. He said, I said, but why are you making all these changes? He said, Prime Minister, I would tell you, I think he told me he went over there. I can't remember if over there was like down in the cell when you go to the prison. There, they hold you there a little while. He said, I had the experience, and it was the most humiliating experience I've ever had. I do not think that you could build a prison like the one you now have. That was how he was justifying. He wanted to have them almost with their own toilet facilities and so on, rather than having this, everybody go. You got 3, 4 and people lining up. He said that for him, the dignity of the individual required those kinds of things. So the project was in a mode of changing to satisfy some of these expectations which were emerging as we went along. And with that, some of the costs that was originally intended and was there were no longer applicable because the expectations for the modern prison evolved with time, and with it we had to make some of these adjustments. Finally, did the government have somebody over there to monitor the work? Yes, we had a project manager. The new government basically is disinclined to have that. So I don't know what is happening, but what is happening is under their watch. What I know, it is still there. It is still there. So I hope that this answers some of your questions. And whenever we get a newer program, and perhaps there will be others, Annette has some knowledge about it, she perhaps could speak to some of the ingoings in relation to the prison life, so that people get really the truth.
Yes, my good people. So that was an interaction there at my first official press conference with the PLP, and I want to publicly thank Dr. Harris for braving the wave and invited me to his press conference. Now let's see if the other leaders of the other political parties would take that lead and invite the DJ to ask a few questions at the press conference. I actually did not wait for Premier Brantley to invite me because I don't think he'll be fond of the questions I have to ask him. But following the town hall meeting on Monday evening, yesterday morning, I took the time out at about 6:20 a.m. I sent the Premier a WhatsApp message, and it reads, "Good morning, Premier Brantley. How are you doing? Jeff Roy Marisha here. I am reaching out to you in my capacity of a journalist, a member of the Media Association of St. Kitts Nevis. I am formally requesting an opportunity to interview you on matters of the island of Nevis. I am also requesting a walkthrough of the Alexandria Hospital, including the new wing that is under construction. Thanks in advance for your consideration. Have a pleasant day and week ahead." Well, it's been more than 24 hours since I sent that message, and I have not heard back from Premier Brantley. I know this is a gentleman that is on his phone, so I would think that maybe he's considering my request for that interview, and in due course, I guess I will hear from him. But just for the public to know that I did reach out to Premier Brantley. I did have a conversation with Leader Natasha Gray last month as well about having a conversation with her here in this podcast, because we are about representing the Federation and its people. And if people are going to be out there putting up themselves to be representative of the country and want to be civil servants, we need to let the people know what we are about. And this takes me to the next level of this conversation, that the awareness march last week, I want to thank all the individuals that came out and participated in that march. I think it showed some citizenry to have a representative of the People's Action Movement, PAM, Leader Natasha Gray, Deputy Leader Azad Gums, Brother Nubian, and Mills, Troy Mills. There was also some other individual there from the PAM that represented. We had the deputy leader of the PLP, Brother Damian Lawrence, and other folks. We had some folks came across from Nevis, folks like Mr. Banky, Brother Tulu, Mr. Gaskell, my good friend there, Brother Jeff Pemberton, husband to the deputy leader of the NRP, Pat Bartlett husband, and a great deal of local individuals who came out and make their contribution at the rally. It will be no different this coming Friday. The struggle continues. Yes, the SS zone is on our minds, and we're going to see that to the end. We also have the Christoph Harbor. We have the Friars Bay with those bar owners with this request to move them from the beach. The matter of Mr. Reginald Francis there at the New Guinea boatyard, St. Kitts Marine Works, sorry. That is still very much a big issue, which is going to be one of the highlights of this march on Friday. So I am appealing to all like-minded citizens who think that they can take the retaliation from the current administration to come out and let's take that walk through Bastille and show some support for our country and the people who cannot do it for themselves. Now, the situation is that I know the current administration doesn't benefit from my small marches in the past. They will be continuing to speak about the amount of people on the ground. So it's up to you, our beloved citizens of St. Kitts Nevis on the ground, whether or not you want to come and boost that crowd and show them that you're in support of the country and not the corruptions that are taking place. And I would even more challenge these candidates, political parties that are out there speaking about you want to represent the federation, you want to represent the citizens, you want to be candidates in the upcoming general elections. This is your opportunity to show the people that you are here standing in the vanguard for them. So to hide behind a curtain because of who leading this march or who created the march or who requested the permit for the march, it really does not matter who. The whole idea is showing solidarity in time when you need to for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And I look forward to seeing you good folks down there. Now, a couple of months back, I was again invited to the convention of the PLP. I also was invited to the convention of the People's Action Movement. However, at the time when I was invited to that event, I was out of town, couldn't attend because I have always said, it doesn't matter the political party. Any one of them that invite me to an event once I'm available, I'll be happy to attend. I am a people person, I'm a community-minded person, and I'm about the good of the country and the people. But surprisingly, while at the convention day of the PLP, Dr. Harris took the time out to acknowledge my presence. Now, let's take a quick listen.
In our audience today is DJ Marisha. I want you to give him a hand of welcome because PLP welcomes all. DJ would tell you that he has had some harsh words for me, but I never take that on. I listened. I accept his criticism, shook his hand several times, and I vow that I will do better. I want to thank him, though, for standing on principle. He, like several others, were fooled by Dr. Joe. They have come now to see him as the vindictive, selfish, arrogant, insecure leader that he had always been. So I say welcome to you, my brother and friend. We will not always agree, but I will always admire a man who put his country first. You will always stand tall in my books.
Yes, and I want to thank Dr. Harris for that recognition. And as you have said to me privately, to put those words out there publicly. And that's the same thing with the DJ. It does not matter what mistake you have made as a politician, you're a human being, as long as you can acknowledge that you have made mistakes. We can make the corrections and move on. But if you're going to continue to dig in with the lies and conspiracy to tarnish people's character, hoping to bury your corrupt deals, then we're going to have a problem because you're not going to work so. Let's take a listen to this clip some weeks back coming from Freedom FM Groundings. My good cousin there, Dr. Martin, Sam Kanda, and Sister Jamie, having, I think in my view, a real heart-to-heart. This might be one of the only time that you find them speaking the truth from the heart. And you would not find this clip nowhere on the Freedom FM wall. But the DJ have it for you. And I will continue to remind you of the corruptions and the confusion that this Labour Party is in. And no matter what they do, no matter how much land paper they come out with the false pretense, no matter how much money they pay you all in the upcoming general election, take the money, take the land papers, whatever they give you all, take it. But remember that they got to go. When you get into that polling booth, remember what the last 3 years was. Do not give them another 3 years or another 5 years. So my good people, let's take a listen. Because right now they're struggling. After we gave them 6 seats in 2022, they're struggling to hold on to 2. Let's take a listen.
I think we have a people who are paying attention. In those comments, most of the comments, people are paying attention to the ebb and flow of the political arena because that's where the leaders, the political leaders come from. And I firmly believe, and I'm open to be challenged, that the days of the loyal section, the must win, must vote for me, those days are diminishing.
Yep. They're gone.
Yep. Well,
that's right.
That's right. Well, I could
the electorate has changed.
I could have argued up until the 1990s that both PAM and Labour had a 40%, 30%, 40% loyal following. I don't see that.
No.
Anymore, and that in the electorate, in the body of the electorate, there is a 60-70% whose vote has to be sought. Notice I didn't say bought. Sought. And so this both.
The political party gets support when they deserve it.
And I forgot the author of this. Another person
we
said.
Know that to be a fact because Trump won.
Well, he won fairly.
We don't know if he deserved it.
He won fairly. The elections are won and lost by people who show up to vote, and he got his people out.
Elections have consequences.
And so the persons who have this must-win mentality in their head, I wish to have a conversation with them. Because I don't accept that there's any must-win. Anyway, we have to fight.
And the politicians have to do the work.
Have to fight.
They have, and there are no. Well, apart from maybe constituency 6, there are no safe seats in St. Kitts and Nevis. Well, let me not speak for Nevis, but there are no safe seats in St. Kitts anymore.
Yeah, man.
Which one?
6 and 3.
Yeah, that's what I said. 3?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about that.
Well,
but 6 maybe.
I think. Well, I'm going to end by saying it's going to be a very, very hot topic when there's boundaries change.
Yeah.
The boundaries changing?
When there's boundaries
changing. They have to change.
Well, we join the boundaries.
Yeah.
They have
make
to
them
change.
constitutional. I think all bets are off. We have new calculus, So again, I want to end by saying, we, the people, the electorate, have to insist on the political parties that they put up the best people to run, because we cannot afford idiots in Church Street. And where's the NIA located? And Charlestown. Cannot afford that.
Mr. Condor, any final words?
Yeah, I think these are really interesting times.
Very.
And people think, I think people don't give politics and politicians the credit and the admiration and think that is due. I say that this is something that I enjoy doing and will do it again.
You would?
I would do it again.
He has not thrown in the towel, that's what he said.
I will do it. Not now, not I'll
no,
go
I
back
understand.
to
I understand.
In a new life,
I don't know what Dr. Martin was trying to do, but I understood what you meant.
That's the thing. And this is an honorable thing. This is a good thing. And people have to learn to differentiate between service to the people and parasites. I mean,
do we have a lot of parasites in politics?
I always saying that the most sacred duty of a citizen is to vote. Without government, life will be nasty, short and brutish.
But I can.
There's nothing wrong with the politics. It is the people who involve.
I can also understand that sometimes people become disenchanted with politicians, as the person wrote that. The person wrote that all the politicians bad.
Yeah,
no,
all the politicians.
Right? But people have that notion that a lot of times people enter politics not for the good that they can do for the people, but the good that they can do for themselves.
Absolutely.
Right? So that makes people not really want to go out to vote. So it is the politician's job and the job of conversations such as these to educate people about the importance of making the right decision.
Something, and we're talking about the resignation.
We're still speaking on.
Yes, my good people. So that was a little conversation there between my cousin there, Dr. Martin, Brother Sam Kanda, and Jamie. And that is an eye-opener for the people. No matter how these bad actors there in government right now try to hide what is taking place, they're on the way out. And the election will be in 2026. And it's like following that statement by Dr. Martin, Sam Kanda, and Jamie. A few weeks later, the proprietor of the said Freedom FM radio brought it home at the end of another event. So let's take a quick listen here to my boy, the Big JL, and I got to congratulate him on this summarization.
That Rudy Val penned and that you've shared with us just now. But what I want to share with you in closing is that we are supposed to be a democratic country. When politicians are in opposition, they're all for the people, of the people, by the people, all of that.
To get into government.
There you go. But from the time you get in, you forget the people. At times, it seems to me. And that town halls, which were, before you get into office, you're having meetings here, there, and everywhere, because you want to get elected. But once you're elected, you tend to not want to see so many meetings. It doesn't happen anyway. But I think that politicians should give back to the community by having town halls monthly. Whatever you want to share with people, share to them at the town hall, because people will come out to town halls because they feel a part of the government. I feel that in this case, the SSZ zone should have been special sustainability zone should have been shared with the people before it got to Parliament. I think that something should have been done at that level to involve the people. Because you're people's government, you're a democratic government, and this is what democracy is all about. Caring for people and sharing with people. That is fundamental. And so I want to urge governments all over the world, including those here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and in opposition, because when you're in opposition, you see everything. But when you get in, you forget. So share with the people at all times. Have your broadcast, but go out and meet the people face to face. Because this is what it is all. This is what governance, good governance is all about.
That's right. That's right.
And so I'm calling on politicians near and far, especially those in St. Kitts and Nevis, all the political parties. All the political parties. If you care for people and you want to get re-elected and you want to be a good, successful politician, care for people by sharing. And so this is what should have been done. It's not too late.
No, never too late. Never too late to consult the people.
Sam,
never too late.
So that's my contribution.
Yes, my good people. So that's the man, the big JL, giving his views on these bad actors, misleaders, ministers of government that seems to forget what they campaign on and what they need to do to take care of the country that they campaign and taking care of. My good people, as I come to the end of yet another podcast for this Wednesday, I'm going to drop a track here. Following this track, I'll drop some ads, and definitely I'll be dropping my unofficial anthem of our beloved Federation of St. Kitts Nevis, and I'm out of here. Again, I want to big up the man himself, the icon, a legend in his own rights, Dr. Garfield Alexander, for his contribution last week, and the other participants over the past year that has come here and take part in this podcast. Time really don't wait for no man. On the 8th of November, we will be celebrating 5 years of this podcast broadcasting. It was only meant to be a 14-day event just to keep myself occupied in quarantine, while at the same time giving information to people who may have been thinking about coming to the Federation and wanted to have the right information. So we are 5 years on the road, and my good people, we have a nation to build and a country to mold.
2 islands, 1 country, A and B, Antigua, Barbuda.
Like we have lost our sanity and we are ready to sink this country. Tooth Moon and Sam must share the blame for spoiling our country's name. We contribute so easily to our nation's downfall. Oh me, oh my, we're not patriotic at all. But in spite it together, not among one another, is the only war we should wage. Only sober decision will prove we have come of age. Every citizen to the cause of justice must rise. We must live together and not fractionize. Dedicated to your country's cause with body, mind and soul. We have a nation to build, a nation to build, a country to mold. We have a nation to build, a country to mold. Where is your sense of loyalty? What is your contribution to your country? None at all.
Where's your concern for the suffering majority? Take gas and strikes do no good for your country.
We have enough brain to make a success of this nation, but we fight and flight, no brain coordination. Whether we fighting together, not among one another, is the only war we should wage. Only sober decision could prove we have come of age. Every citizen to the cause of justice must rise. We must live together and not fractionize.
preoccupied with politics. We make our decisions just for kicks.
Various diseases are on the rise. To these and more, we're closing our eyes.
Let's get down to the task of nation building one and all.
And as the anthem says, let me rise to our country's call.
When it's fighting together, not among one another, is the only war we should wage. Only sober decisions will prove we have come of age.
Yes, my good people, we got a nation to build and a country to mold. Our beloved Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis need every citizen's hands and deck. Coming this Friday, like I said, we will be having our second awareness match. We invite all to come on out and be a part of saving our beloved Federation. Let's take a quick listen to my girl, Sister Carmen of Carmen Caterers. Hear what she have to tell us this evening.
Girl Sandra, you know where you can find nice fresh local food 7 days a week, one provision and all kind of thing. Girl, where? Right down there by Shellings, by Carmen Catering Services. Girl, she opposite the bus stop. Girl, and she also cater for weddings, parties, anything you want to cater for, funeral and all. Girl, and trust me, you're gonna enjoy the food. And she also selling bites and Sundays. Opposite the car shop, right there on the main road. Girl, you could call 665-1494 or 663-6005 to order your food or go and pick up your food. Girl, the food will be finger licking and you get your money worth. You ain't want nothing better than that.
For sure, Sister Carmen is there. I'm sure Lane, just opposite the West Ferry Terminal, downtown Basti, St. Kitts, Monday to Saturday from 12 noon until around 5 p.m. Check her out, let her know DJ Marisha sent you. And on Sunday, she's there in Boyd's Village and the bus terminal right opposite the Gower shop from midday until around 5. Continue to support Sister Carmen, support businesses that support you. Now let's take a walk across the Narrows, see what my boy Cabo has to say to us.
Cabos, located at Fountain Village in Nevis, is the go-to spot for your Saturday treat. Tantalize your taste buds with his delectable Cabos Delicacy Goat Water. Or, if you prefer some soul food, then Cabos Fungi and Fish is definitely the way to go. Call ahead and reserve at 869-663-9694. Then make your way over to Cabos and enjoy the vibrant atmosphere while you savor your delicacy. Cabos, we are not changing, we are only improving.
Food all over, food all over. You got the food all over.
Yes, my good people, the Cabo have the food all over. Nevis and St. Kitts, check him out. Now back to the march on Friday, 31st October. That's this Friday. Come on out and march for your life is dependent on it. Just come out and support the cause.
Let's unite. Citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis, it's your time! Boots on the streets are required! Let's save our country! Get
your placards ready. Friday, 31st October, gathering at the West Bus Ferry Terminal on the Bay Road at 3:30. The march moves off at 4 p.m. until 6 p.m. For more information, call 660-0195. Email grantavenuedjm@gmail.com. Boots on the streets, Friday, 31st October, starting at the West Bus Ferry Terminal, 3:30, moving off at 4. Come in your numbers and be a part of the Citizens Empowerment Coalition Awareness March.
Let's unite and stand up for rights.
Yes, my good people, that's this coming Friday, October 31st, the second awareness march of the CEC. Welcome all down there at the bus and ferry terminal, downtown Bastille St. Kitts. We gather at 3, we move off at 4. I want to say good evening to the good water people there, Island Purified Water, the best water people, Main Street, Newton Ground, St. Kitts. I want to big up the man there, Brother Powell, the man Scatter and his team, for keeping the DJ hydrated whenever he's in our beloved federation. Remember to support businesses that support you. The Island Purified Water, Mr. and Mrs. Powell are great supporters of every aspect of life here in our beloved federation. So do the same and support the Island Purified Water.
Hey, this is Malvern from Spectrum Band, and you're listening to DJ Marisha, playing you the best in Caribbean music.
You got that.
Hey, this is Malvern from Spectrum Band, and you're locked into DJ Marisha. Keep it locked.
Right there.
Wednesday evenings are heating up. Log on to DJ Marisha's Facebook Live broadcast every Wednesday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. It's a frank and a candid exploration into the social, cultural, political, and economic issues affecting our federation. And just in case you missed it, you can also catch the broadcast on his YouTube channel, DJ Marisha. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube and smash that bell. You will be notified whenever he goes live. DJ Marisha, every Wednesday evening, Facebook 6 to 8 p.m. or thereafter on his YouTube channel, DJ Marisha. Log on.
Yes, my good people, and we're just about at the bottom of the hour. I'm about to drop the unofficial anthem of our beloved Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. This one is by the late great King Arrow. This one is called Arise. We live in memory. Last week I said happy birthday to my baby girl. I said it was 9 years old, but she was 8 last week, Thursday. So,
your country dying and never lend a helping hand. Would you see your children's future dwindling, creating much disillusion? Or would we watch on idly, disregarding our self-sufficiency? Maladministration wrecking all and no. I said no, not at all. Citizens, let's unite and stand up for rights, all our lives and our lives. Let us read Let's unite and stand up for rights, all our lives and our lives. Let us reintegrate and correct our mistakes. Reunification, building a brand new nation. We move on together hand in hand. Rise, citizens, arise. The country is yours, all yours, still yours. Can your conscience be clear? Indulging corruption or misusing public office, being accused of unemployment and crimes, or disrupting a citizen's peace. Oh, my country in disharmony, separated politically. Hatred for a brother, cannot love each other. No, I say no, potato. Citizens, let's unite and stand up for rights, all our lives and our lives. Let us reintegrate and correct our mistakes. Reunification, building a brand new nation. We move on together hand in hand. So rise, citizens, arise. The country is yours, all yours, still yours.
Yes, my good people, and this brings us to the end of yet another successful broadcast. Today, Wednesday, October 29, 2025. My good people, as I sign off this evening, my thoughts and prayers are with the people of Jamaica and the other islands that has been affected and will be affected by these hurricanes/storms. And I want to say to our tourism sector, the Minister, Tourism Department, and those taxi drivers who are benefiting from those vessels that have been rerouted to our shores because of damages to those other islands like Jamaica and otherwise. And I will make a recommendation to the Tourism Department and those taxi operators. While you are making a little extra dollar, please remember to put a $5 aside each trip, or $20 aside each trip, whatever you could afford, to make a contribution towards helping the citizens in those islands. They're going to need it real badly. So I am soliciting, I am asking you folks to come together and let's try and do something. All political parties, let's put our heads together, put our hands together and come together and try and help our sister islands there that are suffering from these hurricane and storms at the moment. Until such time, one love until we meet again next week. Like I said, last week I made a mistake, said my baby girl made 9. She's only 8 years old last Tuesday. 8 going on 18, because if you have a conversation with my baby girl, she gives you a better conversation from these government ministers in our beloved federation.